At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Miami Marlins. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by the Hyundai Summer Clearance Event going on now at your Hyundai dealer. By Spectrum, join America's fastest growing TV, internet, and voice provider. By Toyota, tested, trusted Toyota. Let's go places. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, more science, less fear. And by your tri-state area Land Rover retailer. Well, the veteran exodus continued early this morning in the Mets clubhouse as teammates said goodbye to Curtis Granderson. 4 years a Met. Roberto Clemente Award winner is baseball's top citizen, and he will be missed badly by all who knew him. Now a Los Angeles Dodger playing his first game for LA this afternoon. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their series against the Marlins. The veteran exodus indeed continues. Not only is Curtis Granderson gone to the Dodgers, Rene Rivera claimed on waivers by the Chicago Cubs. But let's talk about Granderson because he signed a 4-year free agent deal with the Mets, and the Mets got every ounce that they could have hoped for out of Curtis.
Well, 4 years of Curtis, never on the disabled list, a consummate professional, loved in that clubhouse. I think a fine example for all the young kids that have come up during Curtis's tenure, and I think it's a good move for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's a winner. He's been on winning teams. It's an excellent pickup for them. It's a tough loss for the Mets, but the Mets are moving in another direction.
So the Mets have now moved 6 pending free agents out, which makes room for some of the younger players. So Granderson leaving means Juan Lagares and Brandon Nimmo will get more time in the outfield. Rene Rivera leaving means Kevin Plawecki will get more time behind the plate. So with all the youth that the Mets are trying to infuse into their lineup, who are you looking forward to seeing the most?
Well, for me, now Plawecki's kind of an interesting character. He is hit well down in AAA. He's going to get, there's a quarter of the season left, 40 games. So they're going to get a good look here. So I'm looking forward to see what Plawecki can do. He had the reputation of being a hitter. Well, he's going to come up in a groove. He's going to play a lot. Let's see what he can do.
And Plawecki is in the starting lineup tonight. He'll be catching Rafael Montero, who comes off a really good start against the Yankees his last time out.
Well, he did, and he's got to do it back-to-back here. He threw excellent against the Yankees, and that's a tough spot in Yankee Stadium. What we saw and what hopefully he took out of that game was he didn't walk people, and he threw aggressively inside.
So it's Montero pitching for the Mets tonight as they try and snap a 5-game losing streak and get even in their series with the Marlins. It's the Mets and Marlins, all the action coming your way on Pix 11. 17 is out now for Xbox One, PS4, iOS, and Android. Enjoy fast-paced pick-up-and-play MLB action, packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and much more. Your breakout MLB season is here. You better come ready to play. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Themes of the game brought to you by the Hyundai Summer Clearance Event.
Well, how appropriate here. We got the eclipse coming on Monday. Waiting on a sunny day. Cabrera, he's been wearing it out, but he's the last standing here of the veterans. Dancing in the dark, Montero. You can see that. Not very good at home. Blinded by the light. All you folks, if you don't have the proper glasses, do not look into the sun, or Giancarlo Stanton might hit his 21st.
Very nicely handled there for the geocosmic event. Rafael Montero and the Mets trying to eclipse the Marlins tonight. First pitch is coming right up. So only the were very careful last night with the major league's leading home run hitter. Giancarlo Stanton walked twice, popped up in his other two at-bats, one of them on a 3-0 pitch. He was really kicking himself about. But his 18 home runs since the All-Star break are the most in baseball. His 44 this year, the most in baseball. His 20 at Citi Field, the most for a visiting player. Marlins lineup brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Only one change. Tyler Moore plays first base tonight. The rest of the lineup the same as last night, where the Marlins put up only 5 hits but beat the Mets 3-1 on some strong bullpen work behind Justin Nicolino.
The newcomer.
Kevin Plawecki's first big league start since May the 21st. And he'll get plenty of opportunities coming down the stretch, sharing the catching duties with Travis d'Arnaud. And interestingly, gets the start with Rafael Montero tonight. Rene Rivera had been Montero's personal catcher through a little better stretch for Montero. It'll be interesting to see how he responds to working with Plawecki.
Well, I'm sure they're both very familiar with each other. These guys have been on that shuttle back and forth from Las Vegas to LaGuardia, and Montero here is 11th start of the year. Not a great 1-8 record with the ERA, but he's coming off a good start, as we mentioned, in the open at Yankee Stadium, which is always a tough place to pitch, particularly if you're in a Met uniform. Needs to throw strikes.
D. Gordon getting set to lead off for the Marlins. Well, you know, we talk about young players getting an opportunity down the stretch for the Mets this year. Don't overlook Montero, who's really on an extended audition here as we come down the stretch of the season to see whether now in his, fourth go-round in the big leagues, whether maybe he'll be able to stick.
I've always liked his stuff. I think he's very serviceable. He's just got to stay away from the walks, get ahead of hitters, and don't be afraid to throw the cheddar. And the defense for the Mets brought to you by Nissan, and you're going to have Nemo, who's going to get a lot of playing time now in center field. He's very good defensively. On the infield, of course, you're going to see a lot of Dominic Smith and Rosario. Cabrera is the last veteran here. Plawecki, he's been wearing it out down there in AAA. Well, here's your big chance to shine.
Marlins have been playing very well. They're now at 2 games under 500. First time they've been up to that mark since the 3rd of May. And in fact, the Marlins starting to move to the fringes of the wild card race. They're 7 behind starting the night. Still very much a long shot, but they're closer than anybody else back in the pack in the National League East.
Well, number 1 is getting to 500. There are 2 games under 500. And then you start whittling away at the teams in front of you. If you got 4 teams to climb over, that's a big hurdle.
D. Gordon leads off. Montero's first pitch in for a strike, and we're underway. Gordon 0 for 4 last night, tied for 5th in the National League with 139 hits this year.
And I like Gordon. Gordon is a guy that comes, plays every day, hustles. He's a spark plug. 40 stolen bases.
He gets jammed and pops one foul, and it's interesting to see Montero working inside early. That was a big piece of his success against the Yankees in that last start.
Well, Ronnie, you and I mentioned it and brought it to the fore, and we just hope that he took it home. That start took it home and realized. So we'll see if he stays with it.
Quickly ahead 0-2 on Gordon, and Gordon hooks one foul deep down the right field side.
I said it a million times in baseball, a lot of changes in the game today, but the basics still count, and that is if you got a good changeup, which this young man does, you've got to pitch inside with the fastball to set up the change. Gordon plays with the mouthpiece both up at the plate and in the field for obvious reasons. You never know when you get a bad hop.
Down slowly, Montero off the mound. The underhand flip just in time. Ball hung in the air for a while with the speedy Gordon running, but Montero gets the first out of the night.
And Gordon is always hustling full bore down the line. Whoa. That'll get you nervous.
Tom Smith able to snatch it out of the air before Gordon arrived. So Montero has the first down. Here's the big guy. Stanton last night popped up twice, walked twice.
He looked terrific though, Gary. It's the best I've ever seen him look at the plate.
Going with a little neon yellow tonight.
Yes, and for you Picks fans out there didn't watch the game last night, check out the new stance that Stanton has. Look how closed he is with that back foot. Really he's deep in the box. He used to hit slightly open stance. Now he is pretty extremely closed, and it's been very, very good for him. He looked really good last night.
Full shift on against Stanton.
Oh no.
Slider in the dirt, 2-1.
And that, Gary, has been the big difference with Stanton. We've seen Stanton where you can pitch him up and in off the plate, get him a little bit worried in. Remember, he was hit in the face. That's why he wears that guard. Then you can throw him the bad breaking ball, bad like that outside corner in the dirty fish. Hasn't done it so far.
Do you think the change in stance has enabled him to wait longer and maybe not chase more?
Yes, and also the most important thing that we're told is that he can now, he's been hit a couple times, he can turn his back because he's already closed and take it in the back. Instead of when he was open, he was more exposed to the face and the chest.
He goes after the slider that time on 3-1. And Montero gets to a full count. 1 out and nobody on. 3-2 to Stanton. And he throws the slider out of the strike zone for ball 4. So Stanton, as he did last night, walks in his first plate appearance.
And he had 2 walks last night in that 0 for 2. And what Stanton has to realize right now, Gary, and we talked about it over dinner tonight in the press room, is that he's going to walk a lot more when he's taking these pitches. And so he's going to have to be patient. This man's got 44 home runs. He's on a pace to hit over 60 home runs. So he's going to walk over 100 times now.
Here's Christian Yelich with 1 out and 1 on and takes a knee-high strike. Well, Stanton's career high for walks is 94. He now has 61 this year.
And he closed his stance in the second half, and that's when he started his big tear. And he has been on a tear.
Yelich 1 for 4 last night, had an opposite field double, and he takes the changeup down, a ball and a strike.
Yelich is not having the year that he had last year. He's really a very talented, promising player, very much on top of the plate, which I like. He's very relaxed and straight up.
Line to left, Cespedes gets in front of it, and that's the second out. So Yelich hit it hard, but right at Cespedes, and there are 2 away.
Well, he's throwing fastballs here and throwing strikes. You got 8 gloves out there. The ball found Cespedes, right? If you walk people and you set yourself up for a bad inning, your defense can't help you when you walk people.
Well, here's Marcell Ozuna, who walked twice last night and delivered a sacrifice fly in the Marlins 3-1 win. You know, Keith, what I will find interesting, if Stanton continues to perform at the level he's at, you know, success breeds imitators in this game, and virtually nobody uses a closed stance the way Stanton does right now in the game. It's something that was very prevalent decades ago. Good slider by Montero to start off Ozuna, but I wonder whether other people will try it. We'll see if it works for them as well.
Well, what remains to be seen. We talked about it last night. If you're going to have a closed stance, if you're a right-hand hitter, your left eye has to be your dominant eye. If you're a left-hand hitter, your right eye has to be the dominant eye. People that have open stances are usually just the opposite. So they have to turn their face to face the pitcher more, as opposed to the guys that, like I had, my dominant eye was my right eye, and I hit closed.
But do you have a theory as to why over the last few decades so many hitters have gravitated from a closed stance to either an even or an open stance?
I do not. And you know, what comes to mind for me, the most extreme open stance I've ever saw was in the 60s with Dick McAuliffe of the Detroit Tigers.
And I remember the next wave of the open stances started with Andres Galarraga. Pulled down to third, diving, knocked down by Flores. He has no play, but he saves a double by getting a piece of that ball. It's an infield hit for Ozuna to put 2 men on.
He may have saved a run too. That ball would have gone down into the corner, and Stanton, for a big guy, runs very well. Wilmer lays out, gets a glove on it.
So 2 aboard for the Marlins and a walk and an infield hit. Here's JT Realmuto, who had the early damage last night. Hit a 2-run homer in the second inning off Chris Flexen, which proved to be plenty for the Marlins. And Realmuto hit the home run last night with his own private cheering section in the stands. His mom is here from Oklahoma celebrating her birthday with about 20 of her friends. And they were all sitting in the upper deck last night watching as JT hit the home run.
Upper deck?
Yeah.
They put the mom in the upper tank?
I think they went out and they bought tickets as a group. There's the curveball from Flexen that left the yard.
You can't put mom in the upper tank.
I think Mrs. Realmuto was very happy with her seating assignment.
I bet you they had a very large group.
Sure they did. Anyway, the home run was like the extra birthday present for mom.
How sweet is that?
And you know, with the rain delay last night, there was a small enough gathering that all the Marlins players said they could hear JT's mom and that whole group screaming from the upper deck when Realmuto hit the home run.
Well, back when I played, the only ballpark that would not give box seats, you have 4 family passes when I played. You were allowed 4 family passes and 2 friends.
Realmuto fouls one at the plate.
And that was Dodger Stadium. Dodger Stadium, because they filled it up every night back in the Garvey era, Davey Lopes and those great Dodger teams. There just was no seats available in the box level. So families stood up in the second tank. And we're talking about open stances. Watch. See how he's facing the pitcher? So his dominant eye is probably his right eye left on your screen.
Just off the plate, 1-2. Well, I remember when Galarraga first started with that open stance, that he talked about seeing the pitcher with 2 eyes, which with a more closed stance you don't get to do. And maybe that's the reason why so many hitters gravitated in this direction. See Realmuto able to stare right out at Montero with both eyes.
So you're saying 2 eyes are better than 1?
Well, if you use them correctly.
No confusion. Isn't that multitasking?
If you use 1 eye, it really messes with your depth perception, Keith, and that would be a bad thing, right? Montero 21 pitches deep in this opening inning.
I like what I'm seeing from him. He's being aggressive.
Realmuto choking up an inch. Slider in the dirt, 2-2.
Well, another lovely day for baseball. Oh, I should say, what you call this? Late afternoon?
No, it's early evening.
Early evening. Yeah, it's not afternoon, that's for sure.
Perfect summer day. Temperature was in the mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity a little lower than yesterday. Should be even lower tomorrow.
Wonderful.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Realmuto. Bouncing that one foul. You might notice the home plate umpire, Alfonso Marquez, wearing a white wristband. Many of the umpires are wearing the wristbands starting today. They are a little annoyed at the lack of a suspension for Ian Kinsler after his scathing remarks about Angel Hernandez resulted in a fine and not a suspension, and this is their means of protest. 8th pitch coming to Realmuto. And he lines that one foul.
This is a real hard-fought battle right here. Good at bat from Realmuto. Not a real big guy, Realmuto. Very kind of built like John Stearns, athletic build for a catcher.
Keith, just talking about the umpires and their wristbands, what I find interesting in this particular game is that 2 of the umpires are wearing the wristbands and 2 of them are not.
I don't know what that means.
Well, it means they've made individual choices, I guess, right, as to whether to be part of that protest or not.
Total speculation. I would think they would be united.
Pitch number 9, and Realmuto hits it sharply. Rosario's going to go to third with it and gets the force there to end the inning. It's not a routine play. 6-5 force play to end the inning. Marlins strand 2. Mets come to bat with no score. And 25 pitches to get through that top of the first, but emerged unscathed. Mets lineup brought to you by your tri-state area Land Rover retailer. A little different look now with Granderson and Rivera gone. Nimmo gets the leadoff spot tonight. Michael Conforto got the night off last night. He'll hit cleanup. Kevin Pilecki slots into the 8-hole in his first start for the Mets since May. Third game that Nimmo has led off this year. Just the 7th game he started. A couple of starts in Philadelphia recently, and he'll face Vance Worley tonight.
Well, Vance Worley, first on the scene in 2011 with the Phillies, was 11-3 in 21 starts, and I thought this young man had a bright future ahead, but kind of put on some pounds. Looks a little trimmer now. He's bounced around. He's done a pretty good job, I guess, for this team. 2-2 in 8 starts.
Nimmo 1 for 3 last night.
He's not throwing nearly as hard. That's his fastball, at 86 miles an hour.
He's averaged 90 on his fastball this year. Worley just recently back in the rotation. Started the last 4 times through the rotation.
Boy, it looks like he's pitching with a sore arm, doesn't he, Garrett? Wow, when he came up, he threw hard, had a hard slider.
And he struck out a lot of people. He's not that guy anymore.
He's 29. He's like he's throwing BP. I mean, not his stuff, his motion. He's got no push off the rubber. Not getting any drive towards the hitter. Interesting.
Pulled down to first and handled by Tyler Moore. And he retires Nimmo 1 out.
Now we'll take a look at this very simplistic motion, which is what we see a lot with today's major league pitchers. Just all about mechanics. That's just Gary. That's like no effort there. You know, it's just like he's wanting to throw to spots.
Yep, just trying to throw some darts and pick off some corners.
The trouble with that is you've got to be like one of those famous stooges, Larry Fine. You got to be fine with your pitches.
Well, the question is whether he has more in the tank in reserve. We saw Livan Hernandez pitch this way for years. Here's Cabrera taking low and in for ball 1. As Dribbles hit in the last 3 games, had 2 hits last night, up to 261 for the year. The Mets have traded away 6 pending free agents over the last 3 weeks. And the one guy who asked to be traded, who's a pending free agent, Cabrera, is still here. It's a little bit ironic. Whether there's a market for Asdrubal, we can't know. Whether the Mets might think about keeping him and picking up the option on his contract for next year, that certainly is being discussed.
What's interesting about this club, and you know, the best laid plans of mice and men, this club was made to win this year, Gary.
That's drilled into right field. A base hit for Cabrera, who keeps on hitting. Now the Mets have a 1-out base runner.
But injuries, underperformance, and here you are now. The Mets are like, they tore the house down and they're going to rebuild it.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Cespedes, who took an 0 for 4 last night. I mean, there are certain building blocks that you know are going to be part of the formula for the Mets next year. Cespedes, Conforto, Rosario, maybe Dom Smith. Beyond that, this team has a lot of question marks, and they'll try and get, if not all the answers, then at least some of the answers to some of those questions between now and the end of the year. Who plays second? Who plays third? What's your catching situation? Who's your third outfielder? Is Smith ready to play first base starting at the beginning of next year? That's bounced toward third. Hopper handled by Dietrich. Out at second. Gordon's turn in time for the double play. 5-4-3 to end the inning. So Worley gets the ground ball, and the Marlins turn 2 after 1. No score. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. For great deals on Ford cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, visit buyfordnow.com.
Sweet. Look at how beautiful that sunset is.
Derek Dietrich leads off the second inning. Dietrich getting most of the reps at third base, with Martin Prado out yet again, now with a knee injury. Second straight year that Dietrich's played far more than expected.
Yes.
Last year because D. Gordon was suspended and he got most of the time at second base for half a season. This year because Prado's been hurt off and on most of the year. He's played most of the third base and he has over 300 at bats.
He's a very serviceable player. He's great as a bench player, and get him around 300, 350 at bats.
And he's a baseball magnet. Hit by 24 pitches last year, 14 more this year.
Yeah, he kind of struts around there a little bit, but you know, I've watched him over the years. He hustles. He's a gamer. He's a good guy to have on your team.
Tyler Moore on deck. 2-2 for Montero, and Dietrich takes low and a changeup. 3-2. Numbers on Dietrich, who's hitting almost 100 points higher on the road this year than he is at home. Under 200 at Marlins Park, almost 300 on the road. Odd. And that's inside ball 4. 3-2 slider from Montero, and he walks Dietrich, his second walk of the night. Now the Marlins did not start well. You see they're 17-30 over their first 47, but they've been very, very good since late May. And as we mentioned, they're 2 games under 500 for the first time since May 3rd. So they're working their way back. Maybe a little bit too late, but they at least have some hope of getting back in the standings in the wild card race. There's Tyler Moore playing first base tonight. Pinch hit last night, and he takes below the knees, ball 1. Thomas Talise played first base last night. Justin Bour is out with an oblique injury, which has opened up that spot.
Obliques. Push a sit-ups. Yuck.
Grounded to third, could be 2. Flores right on the mark to Cabrera, who turns it for the 5-4-3 double play. So each team has turned it around the horn double play early in this game. 2 out and nobody on.
Nice hop for Wilmer. Yeah, very nice. Well, second basemen now do not have to worry so much with the new rules implemented since Chase Utley's bulldozing of
Two out and nobody on. Here's Miguel Rojas. 1 for 4 last night. 4 for 4 in his career against Rafael Montero. Montero's faced the Marlins more than he's faced anybody else. 10 career appearances, 3 career starts coming into the night.
Take a look at Montero's motion. Very upright. Again, very simplistic. A little bit of a turn to the back, but look how he long stride and drives off the mound.
Ahead on Rojas 0-2. And the slider grounded out to short. Rosario slides over. Deeply done, side retired. Leadoff walk, no consequence. We go to the bottom of the second. Conforto will lead off. No score at Citi Field. Good start tonight. 2 scoreless innings under his belt.
So far, so good. And look how low he gets. Not Seaver-like, but look at the glove tucked, the head over the leg, getting down low, extending the arm forward. Nothing wrong with that.
Beautiful mechanics. And off to a good start tonight. Michael Conforto leads off the home second against Vance Worley, and takes a fastball high. Michael just 2 for his last 16.
1 for, I'm sorry, Gary, 1 for 9 in this homestand.
Conforto, one of 4 Mets first-round draft picks in the lineup tonight. Brandon Nimmo, first-round 2011. Kevin Plawecki, first-round 2012. Dominic Smith, first-round 2013. Michael Conforto, first-round 2014. All in the lineup tonight, and they've got Gavin Cecchini on the bench, who's also a first-round pick from 2012.
Well, hopefully they all pan out. It's not a guarantee in baseball.
But you pick those guys early thinking that they're going to be important players for your organization, and you can't know until they get here. And Conforto obviously has established himself more than the others, but we'll find out more as these final weeks of the season tick by.
There's a lot of intangibles in making it in the big leagues.
Strike 3 called. Worley paid himself the inside corner for his first strikeout of the night.
So there's that movement. Starts it out 3 inches inside, and it comes back over the inside corner. And it's a guy that's not thrown hard by the slightest stretch, and he throws Michael. It's all about location and movement.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Flores, who drove in the only Met run last night, went 1 for 3. And takes a pitch on the corner. And he grounds one right at Rojas, and the overhand throw gets him 2 out.
Oh, this is what I've been waiting for. The Marlin defense, brought to you by Fios, Gary. That's a fine outfield right there. It's as good as it gets in the National League. I'll take it. On to the infield. A lot of injuries. Prado injured. Dietrich getting the playing time. Echeverria traded. Riddle hurt. Rojas getting playing time at short. And then Realmuto hit 300 last year.
That was fantastic, but how come it took 5 outs to get you to the defense?
I am not in control of that. I just take orders. You know me, I'm a good soldier.
Sound like Sergeant Schultz.
I know nothing. Well, I've been called that.
1-1 to Dominic Smith, who didn't start last night against the lefty.
Well, that left field line, I was very curious about when they shift like this. If you notice where the left fielder is, he's the only guy covering the left side of the field. They don't move the left fielder over with the shift. They leave the left fielder anchored over like a right-handed pull hitter. There he is right there on the left of your screen. But to me, I would take away the gap because the ball down the line's a double anyway. Gary?
I just don't think we've seen enough of Dominic Smith to know if this is a smart shift or not. I mean, they're playing nobody within 80 feet of the third base line.
I mean, as a guy like Dominic Smith, or a guy with average speed, if he hits a left-hand hitter, hits the ball down the left field line, and you're playing in the gap, he's not going to get a triple. It's a short throw.
Right.
Short throw to third.
But the charts may say that his fly balls are hit more to straightaway left than they are to left center.
Okay, but you've got a very good defensive outfield here, this Marlin outfield, and Ozuna can cover ground. Plus, he's got a terrific arm.
3-2 from Worley, and Smith takes inside, ball 4. That's the first walk that Dominic Smith has drawn in the major leagues after 26 at bats. first walk of the night for Worley.
Just recently, Rosario got his first walk.
Yep. So we've gotten that out of the way. The maiden has been broken, as they say in horse racing.
I can think of a better word, but I won't say it.
Good. Here's Ahmed Rosario with 2 out and a runner at first. Rosario 2 for 4 last night, and he stole a base, and he takes a strike. Getting a 241 through his first 16 big league starts. Worley beats him with a fastball at 87 miles an hour.
He's not throwing hard. And I can see why with that motion. And Rosario's tardy.
Mets saw Worley in relief earlier this year, but to give you an idea of the turnover in the Mets roster, there is only one batter in the lineup tonight who's ever faced Worley before, and that's Cespedes. Ground ball right at Gordon, and he makes the flip for the force that retires the side. A walk and 1 left. We go to the 3rd at Citi Field. Mets and Marlins, no score.
Certainly excited for him getting the chance to obviously play in the postseason. Very disappointing, tough for us. Huge piece of our team for the last 4 years here, and just his presence in the clubhouse, what he did on the field. Obviously, those numbers will follow him forever. But the impact he made with others in that clubhouse is, something it's tough to replace. He's one of the best guys I've ever had around, ever been around, and we'll miss him.
And I think that sentiment expressed by Terry Collins really reflects what everybody in the Mets organization felt about Curtis Granderson. Sad to see him leave. Very happy to see him get an opportunity with a potential championship team. And he already has a win under his belt as a Dodger. He was in the lineup today, went 0 for 4, but the Dodgers won their game shutting out Detroit 3-0. Vance Worley leading off in the 3rd, and he goes down on 3 pitches against Montero, who has his first strikeout of the night. Dodgers are now 87-34. They are 52-9 in their last 61 games.
That is incredible.
Best stretch over that period of time since the 1912 Giants.
The Dodgers, to make room for Curtis, sent down Jock Peterson.
Well, it's a little bit of a wake-up call for Peterson, who's been really struggling. He's been gifted a spot in that lineup for the last couple of years. D. Gordon takes the pitch low, and the Dodgers just got fortified yesterday with Adrian Gonzalez coming off the disabled list. So they moved Cody Bellinger to the outfield. Bellinger, by the way, sprained his ankle today.
I saw that.
And they took him out of the game, but he said afterward he's fine. 2-0 to Gordon. Anyway, it's a great opportunity for Curtis. He's never won a World Series, and now he has a chance perhaps to do that with an incredibly good Dodger team. Gordon smacks one toward the gap in left center. That's down for a base hit. Nimmo gets over to cut it off. Gordon will slam on the brakes and settle for a single. Good play by Nimmo to hold Gordon to one base.
Gordon, a very pesky hitter, with hitting .291 coming in. Little sinker, not away enough, just hit beautifully right where it was pitched. Has 16 doubles, 5 triples, and 1 home run, Mr. Gordon. But more importantly, now he's got 40 stolen bases, and Montero's got to keep an eye on him.
Two-time National League stolen base champ, and he gets a healthy lead. Montero fires one into the runner that Smith is able to pick and nearly get Gordon with a quick tag. 40 steals. He's been caught 10 times.
This is the first pickoff attempt. Well, that was close.
Montero's done a pretty decent job holding runners this year. Only 2 stolen bases against him, and frankly, when you got Stanton at the plate, I would think that makes it a little harder for Gordon to run when Stanton's sitting second.
I don't like. I know it's a sabermetrics thing. Just don't. I think it's a waste of time.
Grounded to short, might be 2. Rosario to Cabrera and on to first, and the Mets turn their second double play in 3 innings. 6-4-3. That ends the inning, doesn't it?
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Didn't Worley make the first out?
He struck out. Come on off, guys.
Does nobody on the field realize there are 3 outs?
Hello.
That's unbelievable.
Guys, come on in.
I've seen one player forget how many outs there were. I've never seen an entire team not know how many out there were.
Wow.
That is unbelievable. Middle of the third, no score. Tomorrow is a McDonald's Family Sunday. The Mets take on the Marlins at 1:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a toy truck presented by WB Mason. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game in the Mr. Med Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. Kevin Plawecki was tearing it up in Vegas. He was hitting .328 with 9 home runs in AAA. He's had 24 big league at bats this year. His last one came on May the 21st. The game that Plawecki last played in was also a game that Tommy Milone started for the Mets. Milone is now back with the team. One of the 2 moves the Mets made to compensate for the loss of Granderson and Rivera. Rojas fields the grounder and throws out Plawecki 1 away. what their intentions are for Malone, who was starting when he was here earlier this season, then hurt his knee. Don't know whether they intend to plug him into the rotation at some point or strictly use him as a long man.
Well, he's certainly there for insurance.
Here's Montero, 2 for 14 this year. Keith, have you ever seen what we just saw at the top of the inning? Team turns a double play to end the inning, and not a single member of the defensive team realized there were 3 outs,
including pitcher. We can include him on the defensive team too. All 9. Amazing. But Gary, that's why since 1962, been the Amazing Mets. That's amazing.
So you're saying they were channeling their inner Marv Throneberry? Top back to Worley, and he throws out Montero 2 out.
When did they become the Amazins? Was that just in '69 when they won?
Well, no. I mean, that was a phrase that Casey Stengel used. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The Amazing Mets. That
okay,
was,
so
that
it was.
That,
so it goes back.
It was a Casey Stengel thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes all the way back to the beginning.
So you have more history back then, those early days of the Mets, because you can imagine me in Northern California.
But the only people who ever called them the Amazins were the headline writers in the tabloids.
Okay.
Met fans never called them the Amazins.
Okay.
They called them the Mets.
All right.
The Miracle Mets.
In 1962, 63, 64, 65, in Northern California, I was paying more attention to the Braves with Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews and Warren Spahn, the Pirates with Clemente and Dick Stewart.
So you're saying you weren't paying attention to Rod Camille and
No, I
Juju
was
Coleman?
not. I was not. I was definitely not.
Well, we mentioned Brandon Nimmo taken in the first round of the 2011 draft. There's some of the other notables who were taken in that draft, including Michael Fulmer, whom the Mets took at 44. He pitched against the Dodgers today and pitched very well. Jose Fernandez taken right after Nimmo.
Well,
George Springer is having a fabulous year for the Astros. Sonny Gray, who we saw just recently pitch against the Mets. Fernandez, who passed away last year, still memorialized on the Marlins jerseys. And Worley behind on Nimmo, 3-1. Cabrera on deck. Brandon grounded out his first time up. And he smacks one out to left field, chasing Ozuna back. And he reels it in. Very tired the side. Marlins knew there were 3 outs and came running off the field. Thought that was of note. No score after 3. On a beautiful night in New York, Mets and Marlins no score. Christian Yelich leads off against Rafael Montero, who's looked sharp so far. He's given up 2 hits over the first 3 innings. Christian Yelich takes a fastball for a strike. Yelich lined out to left field his first time up. Ozuna and Real Muto to follow for Miami in the 4th. In his last start against the Yankees, Montero was brilliant the first 3 and then hit a little roadblock in the 4th. Walked a couple of guys.
Pitched out of it, though.
Yeah, he walked a couple of guys, and then he gave up a run but was able to limit the damage. Good slider, and it's 1-2.
There's his numbers.
Gave up the 6th inning home run to Aaron Judge that cost him a chance to be a winning pitcher that game, but overall it was a really splendid outing for Rafael. Certainly a big step in the right direction. Pilecki sets up inside and he hits the target but just missed. 2-2. Willingness to throw inside like that seems to be a big piece for Montero. And he strikes out Yelich. Good changeup to get him. That's his 2nd strikeout.
Set up by the fastball in.
That's what you said, right?
Yep.
You wanted to throw that changeup, you got to set it up with the fastball inside.
There's the grip right there, the circle change. Which really, to me, I think has finally, that grip has perfected the changeup. Everybody's monkeyed around with a palm ball, a fork ball, different ways to hold the ball, but I think the most successful way now, it's been refined.
Ozuna lines one to the left for a base hit.
And I say that, Gary, because it seems like everybody's coming up throwing the circle change. And the key to a changeup obviously are 2 things. Cannot give it away in your motion, so the grip enables the pitcher to throw a normal fastball, and he can't throw it hard, and taking off the right amount of miles per hour per your fastball.
Well, it's interesting because with Montero, he really refined that changeup late last year into this year. He used to throw it a lot softer. He'd throw it 85, 86. Now he throws it more 88, 89, which is closer to his fastball, and yet it's been more effective.
Right.
Which you wouldn't necessarily think would be the case.
And then it's after it leaves your hand, if you haven't given it away and you're taking the right amount off, it's a matter of then location. You can't, I don't care how good a changeup you have, you can't throw it up in the strike zone and down the middle or inner half. You got to get it down and away.
Well, if you're judging changeups, obviously change of speed is a lot in deception, but what about movement on the changeup? Is that necessary, or is that just an added advantage?
It helps to have a little sink to it because it get under the bat. You want something, if you're a right-hander, fading away from a left-hand hitter. But you know, Andy Messersmith had the greatest changeup I ever faced. Went with the Dodgers, and was a terrific pitcher. He had a straight change. Straight change. It was just that good. Took just the perfect amount. He made me, when I faced Andy, I had to get up on top of the plate, and I went down my baby finger on the knob.
So would you say, as Real Muto takes low and in, that Messersmith's change from the right side was like Santana's from the left side?
Sure. I didn't ever face Santana. If it was straight, it was straight.
Right.
But it was just that perfect amount where you couldn't hang, and it would just get you off the end of the bat or get you out in front completely. And he taught it to Bert Hooton.
Down to third, might be a chance for another double play. Cabrera with the turn, 5-4-3. Mets turn a double play for the 3rd straight inning, and this time they knew the inning was over. 3 double plays, no score. Middle of the 4th.
Why, they're the most amazing fans that I've ever seen in baseball. I've been in World Series games since 1916. I've been with enormous crowds in stadiums. I've played before 96,000, but the Mets, I'll have to say, they stick by you. They stick by you in the hotels. They're on the streets. They're carrying placards. They're going through the place. You can find them over here in right field. 4 innings later, if you get a base hit, they'll be over on the left field line.
That's where the term amazing comes from, Keith, from that guy, number 37, Casey Stengel, the original manager of the New York Mets.
I read a story about him more than a few years ago. I forget the book, but he used to stay at a hotel downtown, not downtown, in I think Central Park South, and he would always take a stroll in the morning, and he would be around a 2-hour stroll because he would talk to everybody on the way in the middle of his walk.
He had a vernacular all his own. He had a syntax all his own, and he had a circular manner of speaking that I think was greatly by design, especially when he managed the Mets, because I think his main goal was to be the clown who took some of the pressure off his team, which was clearly overmatched those first 4 seasons when he managed them.
Well, he certainly was quite the character. And there's unique individual.
And of course, greatly successful manager with the Yankees before he came to the Mets, and it was George Weiss who had been the general manager with the Yankees, who was hired to be the GM of the Mets, who brought Casey over after the Yankees had let him go in the prior year. In fact, the Yankees let Casey go after they lost the World Series in 1960 when they made Ralph Houck the manager. And so he'd been out for a year as Cabrera takes a call, 3rd strike. But the Mets felt as though he would sell tickets, and he did. It was a master stroke for a team that, you know, they knew they weren't going to win those first few years based on the talent that they were able to acquire in the expansion draft. Remember, he didn't have free agency back then.
Was it a true story? I think I read where he hit a home run in a game and he tipped his hat as he's running the bases and the bird was inside?
The bird came out, yeah. I've read that story. Whether it's true or apocryphal, I'm not sure. Here's the Cespedes bobblehead as the real thing steps into the batter's box. But you know, he said, I've been in World Series since 1916. I mean, Casey had an interesting playing career and a much varied and successful managerial career before he ever got to the Mets.
Now, was it correct that he and Joe DiMaggio kind of had a tough time because Joe was kind of on his way out with the injuries, and when Casey took over, Mantle was coming up, took over in the 50s, and Joe was on his way out, and you know, like any great player, Joe wasn't ready to pass the baton. So that had to be a very difficult thing for any manager to negotiate.
Well, they say the hardest thing for any manager is handling a fading star. And that was certainly the case there, and especially a star as proud as DiMaggio.
Well, and DiMaggio had the worst of injuries, the bone spur in his foot. On his heel, correct? Was it not?
Yeah, that was his heel.
How in the heck are you going to run with a bone spur? Very painful.
One and two to Cespedes, who grounded into a double play his first time up, hitless in his last 10 at bats. Already seen 4 double plays in this game, 3 turned by the Mets. And a little high, 2-2.
Boy, it looked like Cespedes took a step to the dugout. I thought it was strike 3.
Michael Conforto hitting cleanup behind Cespedes. Fouls away the cutter. Still 2-2.
Well, he has just has not been able to find it. Yoenis has just not been able to get the groove. I mean, for him to be tardy on a fastball at 87 miles an hour.
Lines one to left field. It stays up for Ozuna. 2 out. Worley continues to put up zeros. 2 out and nobody on for Michael Conforto. Conforto took a call, 3rd strike, his first time up.
The shift again on Michael.
And the curveball in for a strike. Grounded right back to Worley. Flags it down nicely. Side retired. Worley sets down the Mets 1-2-3. He's retired 7 in a row. We're through 4 at Citi Field. Mets and Marlins still no score. Wake up with Betty, Dan, Byron, and the rest of the Picks Morning News crew with breaking news, traffic, and sports, plus the latest weather to keep you in the know. Mornings from 5 to 9 on the Picks 11 Morning News, New York's very own. Derek Dietrich leads off the 5th inning. Dietrich drew one of the 2 walks given up by Montero tonight, but he was erased on a double play. Each of the last 3 innings, the Marlins have had a base runner erased on a double play. Dietrich has to lean back from the inside fastball, 2-1. So there's Montero again working inside against the left-hand hitters. Tyler Moore on deck, then Miguel Rojas, and that's drilled into center field. A base hit for Dietrich. Nimmo cuts it off. Dietrich stops at first, and he's aboard for the 2nd time. This time with a leadoff hit.
2-1 count, fastball down the pipe. But you know what? At this stage of the ball game, not this game in particular, the ball game for Mr. Montero, at his stage in his career, I'd like to see that. I don't want to see him nibbling around behind the count, throwing changeups and breaking stuff. Take your chances.
Well, he has taken his chances tonight. He's already generated 3 ground ball double plays, a chance for a 4th. Tyler Moore, who hit into one his first time up, grounds one down to 3rd. Here we go. Flores to Cabrera, and for the 4th straight inning, the Mets turn a double play. 3rd time they've gone around the horn tonight.
2 of them from that side, and the Marlins have turned one themselves, so 3 in the ball game, and this is a beautiful feed. Right on the line, Wilmer.
So the Mets' third 5-4-3 double play
right,
and a
third.
6-4-3 double play, and they've come in 4 consecutive innings.
You're right, Garrett. My mistake. It was an oversight on my part. What new? I'm very alert today.
Extra caffeine.
A little bit. The school of Gary Cohn and Ron compounded.
Ron has been trying to make the transition to water.
And he's doing the tea, right?
Yeah. He's trying to be very healthy. You know, he has a little baby at home.
I know how that goes. It's been a long time. I vaguely remember. It's somewhere over the horizon. Happy birthday today to Ron. Anyway, it's his birthday today.
We had a chance to sing him happy birthday right at midnight last night, which is shortly after the game ended.
I'm sure he's out to dinner tonight, having a wonderful time with his lovely bride.
57 candles, and he keeps up his streak of never doing the game on his birthday.
I remember.
I don't know how he does that.
I remember when I first saw him in a Met uniform a long time ago.
He was a little younger then.
Threw hard too.
Came up when he was what, 23.
Yes, he was a diamond in the rough when Ron came up. He had a very sneaky fastball, and he threw inside the lefties. And I really liked his stuff. Had the big curve and the splitter, and then within 2 years, he became extremely refined on the mound.
2-2 to Rojas. Struck him out. Montero with a little celebration after his 3rd strikeout of the night. Got him with a changeup. 5 scoreless innings for Rafael Montero. Pitching at the top of his game. Halfway through at Citi Field, Mets and Marlins still no score. Start tomorrow in the final game of the series. We talk often about Jake's athleticism. This is him and Steven Matz shagging earlier this week.
Well, DeGrom is like Roger McDowell. Roger McDowell was we call him power shaggers. Roger would come out every day in BP and play the outfield and shag and play it like he was an outfielder himself. Very athletic, Roger, and as well as DeGrom.
Flores leading off the bottom of the 5th, lifts one to right. Giancarlo Stanton under it. 1 pitch, 1 out. Does it give you any cause for concern seeing him jump around in the outfield like that? I just go back to Mariano Rivera and the way he got hurt shagging in the outfield.
It does not bother me. I want the players to be active. I think it sets a good example. I don't like them playing tandem like they did because they can get their legs tangled up. You know, just have fun together, but don't play that I'm going to get the ball over you routine. You never know. Yeah, that's where you can get hurt.
There's Dominic Smith with 1 out. Drew a walk his first time up, and he takes a knee-high strike. Walk was the first for Dom in the big leagues after 26 official at-bats. Mets have had just one hit tonight, a first inning single by Asdrubal Cabrera. Vance Worley has been on his game. Vance Worley, a journeyman with his 5th major league team. Pitched for China in the World Baseball Classic. His mom is from Hong Kong.
That's right.
Last year he was with the Orioles, mostly in relief. Spring training this year with the Nationals. They let him go right at the end of the spring, and the Marlins signed him right before opening day. He's worked in relief for them and now making his 9th start.
Well, one thing now with the new spring training ballpark down in West Palm Beach that houses the Houston Astros and the Nationals. Added 2 more teams on the East Coast, so a lot of familiarity. Cardinals are there, of course. Miami, Mets. No longer those long road trips. Oh. That was one of the great decisions of Kurt Gowdy and SNY when they opened up the network. When they said, and I had to really control myself. I hardly could contain myself. We will not do any road games, televise any road games in spring training.
We did the first year, if you remember, Keith.
Yes, I know.
Grounded right back to Worley. And Smith is retired, 2 out.
We had that one in Vero Beach.
Well, the first year the network didn't go on the air till the middle of March, and we did virtually every game from then till the end of March, and our second broadcast ever was at Vero Beach.
And remember we saw the water moccasin? It was raining all day. I did.
Do you remember that they had problems with the lines and we couldn't show commercials that day?
Yeah, and we had to talk.
We did a 3.5-hour 10-inning spring training game with no commercials.
I thought we were at our best that day.
We really got to know each other that day, Keith. You and me. Ronnie was somewhere else, of course.
That's a long time ago, Gare.
It feels like ages ago. Ahmed Rosario takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Rosario grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up. And that shot back past Worley into center field, a base hit. So Rosario with a 2-strike base hit, just the 2nd Mets hit of the night.
Hit the ball hard twice today. Both up the middle. So excellent hitting. Little cutter, stayed in.
We'll see if he's inclined to try and steal one here. He had a stolen base last night, his 3rd. Plawecki the batter. And he takes ball 1. Terry Collins said tonight that when the Mets sent Plawecki down the last time in May, he said, "Go hit." And he did. And now the question is, can it translate at this level? Because when the Mets got Plawecki, remember he was a 1st-round pick coming out of Purdue, he was supposed to be an advanced hitter. And we saw it early in spring training, his first year when he was in Major League camp. But he's changed a lot since then. He was right on top of the plate, remember? Driving balls to right center field.
Well, this game will knock you down and shake your confidence. You got to get back up on your feet. He's wide open. Look at that open stance. I don't remember him ever that open. Do you, Gary?
No, I do not. He's tinkered a lot over the last few years because he hasn't enjoyed any success at this level. He had a chance to play a lot each of the last 2 years with Travis d'Arnaud injured, but he's a lifetime .206 big league hitter. Grounds that one right at Gordon. And the force play retires the side. We've got a pitcher's duel on our hands. Montero and Worley. No score after 5.
Gets the sign, goes into the motion. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on, hit on the ground toward first. Milner has the ball. Looks to McGraw. It's over. The New York Mets have won the pennant. The New York Mets have won the pennant. The New York Mets have won the pennant, and this is a wild scene. Fans are pouring out onto the field. A mad scene at Shea Stadium as the New York Mets have won the National League pennant.
Wow.
That feels like it was yesterday, because all those people on the field, I was one of them.
It was a madhouse.
It was crazy. I mean, 1969, when the fans went on the field 3 separate times, when the Mets won the division, when they won the pennant, when they won the World Series.
How old were you?
I'm talking about in '69, it was much tamer.
Okay.
In '73, it was out of control, and it was a little scary.
I remember you saying that. What were you afraid of? People were going to
just too many people stampeding.
Oh, stampede.
Someone, I'm sure people got hurt. It was crazy. As Worley lines one, and Cabrera can't quite reach it. Worley has his 4th hit of the year, and the Mets have a chance to turn another double play.
Yes.
Which has been the theme of this game so far.
Lindsey Nelson's call was very much like Russ Hodges' call when the Giants won the pennant.
Well, I think when Lindsey made that call, he was taking in the scene in front of him, and I think trying to convey part of what he was seeing. That was the radio call, and it was nuts. It really was. And it was shortly after that teams got wise about allowing fans to run on the field after games, even in celebration, because it was, I mean, even before the out was recorded at first, the fans had flooded the field, and there were people everywhere going in every direction.
When we won in '80, we beat the Cubs '86, and Doc pitched the clincher at home. We were on the center of the mound.
D. Gordon flies one to shallow center. Out goes Rosario on the run. Can't get it, but they've got a force play at second, and they get the out there on Worley. Well, that was almost a tremendous athletic play by Rosario, because nobody else was going to be able to get to it. But Worley had stopped on the base paths, and Nimmo easily got the force at second.
Now, the negative on this is that you've got the slow runner off the base in Worley now, and you got D. Gordon, who's going to be on first. But he runs a long way for this ball. Amazing that he missed it. I think he makes that play 99 out of 100 times, don't you, Garrett? He just missed it.
Just got it off the thumb of the glove. So it goes as an 8-4 fielder's choice, and Gordon aboard with 1 out.
I was on the mound, had my arm around someone, I had my first baseman's mitt on my glove hand, which is my right, obviously, and a kid came from third base side and tried to take my glove.
Really?
And he couldn't. I just pulled the claw on my glove, and he was no way he was getting my glove. And I told him, "Don't you dare!" And I met that kid around a month ago.
Gordon runs. Plawecki's throw far too late. Gordon got a great jump and has his 41st stolen base of the year.
He came up and introduced himself. You know, he's a grown man. And he said, "I was the one that tried to take your glove that night on the mound."
Really?
How about that? All those years later. Great jump. Got to pay attention. 40 stolen bases make that 41.
So that takes the double play out of order. It lets the Mets choose to walk Stanton, which doesn't appear they're going to do. Stanton has walked and grounded into a double play tonight, and he shatters his bat on that ball running in on him. So Montero continues to pitch inside, and he claims a victim from Giancarlo's bat.
Well, that's a case where that ball's good 9 inches inside, and that's gonna some firewood.
Yelich on deck. 3 infielders on the left side against Stanton. Cabrera right behind Gordon as he takes his lead, and Stanton takes just inside 2-1. Who's Hot brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Yeah, that's hot. 11 home runs his last 15 games.
Disco Inferno.
In this series so far, he's 0 for 3 with 3 walks.
Cabrera's got to pay some attention to Gordon, as he is.
Stanton won't chase the slider, and it's 3-1. Well, I don't think that Montero would be heartbroken if he ends up walking Stanton here instead of double play possible.
But Stanton can still, you can pitch to Stanton, and I just hate putting another runner on base when you've got Yelich and Ozuna, back to back coming up behind him. It's the middle of this order.
Gonna keep it away from him, and he walks him. So another walk for Stanton, his 4th in the first 2 games in this series. 3rd walk of the night for Montero. So now the double play is back in order. By the way, the Mets have turned double plays in each of the last 4 innings. They actually did that once earlier this year against the Cubs June 12th. But the Mets have never turned more than 5 double plays in one game.
Never. Well, 5's a lot.
5 is a lot. 7 is the record. The Astros did that a number of years ago. But 4 tonight, and a chance for another one here with Yelich, who's lined out to left and struck out 0 for 2. So the Marlins have 5 singles, and they've drawn 3 walks. They've got 2 aboard here with 1 out, and a scoreless game in the 6th. Fouls off the
slider down on his hands. I just think that Yelich would be better served. He's so upright that a little more set, a little more ready to hit.
How do you define that?
Just get a little more. He's more upright. I mean, you don't have to worry about getting hit today. Just a little more. Maybe his hands back a little bit more. I wouldn't want to radically change him. But he's a very loose hitter. Sometimes I think too loose.
He's not nearly as funny as Pete Davidson, but he looks just like him. 0-2 from Montero, and he bounces that slider. 3 sliders in a row to Yelich. Pete, Saturday Night Live, he and Yelich doppelganger.
I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in ages. I'm not much of a TV guy. I like to watch old movies, and we're the baseball life. We're never around for prime time, so I don't watch.
It's late,
What do you mean?
11:30.
Oh, but no.
Gordon at second, Stanton at first with 1 out. Montero has struck out 3 tonight. And he just missed with that slider. 2-2.
Good eye by Yelich, and very nervy too. It's a very close pitch to take with 2 strikes.
Alfonso Marquez, the home plate umpire. So 4 straight sliders from Montero to Yelich.
See if he's going to come with a changeup. Remember, he got him out with a change. Struck him out last at bat. Another one.
Back to the slider. 3-2. So a moment of truth for Montero in a scoreless game. See what he has thrown this season. Like the pie chart.
Looks like my financial pie chart.
Well, you got your blueberry, your
59% money out,
strawberry, and your lime. Swing and a miss. Got him. 2 out. 4th strikeout for Montero.
All right, we've got 6 pitches to show on this pitch sequence. I'm not crazy about the pitch sequence. Slider in, 0-1. Tied him up. Down and in. He's one after a bad one, 0-2. Slider not even close. Down and in, 1-2. Another slider. Ooh, just missed. 2-2. Not even close. 3-2. All sliders in. And he struck him out with a slider down and in.
6 in a row.
How about that? I thought it was a changeup. I'm losing my eye here. I would not have made that mistake in the 80s.
It's a good thing you don't have to hit it. 2 out and 2 on. Here's Ozuna. And he takes a fastball low and in for ball one. Ozuna's been aboard twice, an infield single and then a hard single to left.
I remember when Nolan Ryan with Houston, latter part of his career, developed the changeup, and he became a better pitcher with that changeup. And he threw me the changeup in spring training, and I looked at him. It was a good one. Gave him a quizzical look, and he just had that smile on his face as he stormed around and stomped around the mound like he loved to do.
Ozuna lines it to left. In comes Cespedes. He'll drop for a base hit, and that'll bring in the first run of the game. Gordon scores, and the Marlins go in front 1-0. Ozuna is 3 for 3, and the Marlins finally scratch. A 2-out hit for Ozuna puts Miami in front.
92nd run batted in. Boy, he has always liked him. Look, he's open stance. He's really quick inside, Gary. Always has been. He can fish. You can get him to fish the breaking ball.
Now the question is, did Cespedes have a chance if he dives or slides for this ball?
I don't think so.
Remember, he hurt himself sliding in about the same spot earlier this year. But he stayed on his feet. Ozuna gets the hit to put Miami in front.
He's a good player, boy. Good hitter.
First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'.
It just looks like these guys like each other, huh? Stanton smiling at Ozuna, Ozuna smiling back.
Well, the Marlins have been winning lately, and winning tends to produce smiles.
Yes, it does.
They've won 6 of their last 7.
It's no fun coming to the park when you stinking it up. Team-wise. A little easier to take if your team's winning and you're stinking.
Realmuto takes the changeup low, and Montero's starting to fall behind hitters. He fell behind Ozuna 2-0, gave up the hit that put the Marlins in front. Now he's 2-0 to Realmuto.
Realmuto's got that swing. He should be a good tough out with two run or risk runners in scoring position with 2 outs. And I am right. He is 318, Gary, this year with 2 outs, runners in scoring position.
And Worthen on the phone is Montero falls behind on Realmuto 3-0. Got the left-hand hitter Dietrich on deck.
Finish this inning. Get out of it.
Swinging 3-0, and he fouls back the fastball.
How about Don Mattingly giving Realmuto the hit sign? There's Donnie.
Saw Stanton last night swing 3-0 and pop up.
Pretty good.
Realmuto swinging 3-0, fouls back.
Pretty good player right there, managing his ball club, Don Mattingly, to say the least.
Stanton at second, Ozuna at first with 2 out. And Realmuto takes a strike, and it's 3-2.
I like it. 3-0 fastball, 3-1 fastball. Very good. Painted that one.
So now the runners will be in motion. Stanton at second, Ozuna at first, 3-2, 2 out. Three-two coming. Fouls it off. Fastball running in on his hands.
He's really keeping the ball down tonight, and really of late I think that's part of his success.
He's had some fits and starts, but since his latest return from the minor leagues, this has been the best we've seen Montero over an extended stretch. But he's got to put this inning to bed. Again, the 3-2. Grounded foul. They'll do it again.
Well, he's got 8 more starts, And that's a lot of innings that he can go and work on his craft and get out there and make a lasting impression. The opportunity is there for him. The door is wide open.
8th pitch of the at bat coming to Real Muto. Struck him out. Got him with a changeup. Big strikeout for Montero, his 5th of the night. After Ozuna puts the Marlins in front, Montero pulls the string and takes care of Real Muto to strand a pair. Middle of the 6th, 1-0 Miami. Your local tri-state Volkswagen dealers. Why are we showing you a graph? Well, yesterday 58 home runs were hit in the major leagues, second highest one-day total in history. There were 62 hit in the game back in 2002, and you see how the last 3 years home runs have exploded in the game. It began about mid-season in 2015 when it appeared that the ball was changed, and it has only taken off from there. This could be the biggest home run hitting season in major league history. Matt Reynolds is going to bat for Rafael Montero as we go to the bottom of the 6th. And Montero's work is done after 6 innings, and he was terrific tonight. Gave up the 2-out hit to Ozuna that played to the only run of this game in the top of the inning. But now he is out after 91 pitches. Reynolds pinch hitting and takes a strike from Worley, and it's 1-1. High speed pitch brought to you by Optimum, now with internet speeds up to 4 times faster. Worley hasn't had much velocity, but he's allowed just 2 hits over 5 scoreless innings. Reynolds started last night, went 0 for 3, gets tied up, and he stopped the swing in time, 2-1.
So nice performance by Montero. He's got 2 in a row now.
Next start will be against the Diamondbacks.
Pretty good hitting ball club.
Yeah, and he'll be matched up, by the way, Thursday against Robbie Ray, the hard-throwing lefty for the Diamondbacks, who had been out with a concussion after being hit in the head by a line drive. So he'll make his return against the Mets in the final game of that series on Thursday. And Reynolds takes outside ball. Leadoff walk gives the Mets a base runner. The second walk given up by Worley tonight.
Nice. Like to see where that pitch was. Let's see if it had the corner. It was knees. Oh, come on. That was a strike.
Did he call it low?
It was not low. That was that's a leadoff hitter too. That's got to really irritate a pitcher.
Alfonso Marquez, the home plate umpire. Mets get the tying run aboard with nobody out. And here's Nimmo, who's grounded out and flied out. And he grounds one foul. just outside first. Vance Worley making his 5th straight turn through the Marlins rotation. They've had a lot of turmoil in their rotation this year. Edinson Volquez out for the year. Tommy John surgery. Wei-Yin Chen's been on the shelf for a long time with elbow problems. And a guy who was a mainstay in the Marlins rotation for quite a few years, the New York native Tom Kohler, was sent to the minor leagues last month. And today the Marlins traded Kohler. Traded him to Toronto for a minor leaguer. So Tom Kohler no longer in the Miami organization. New Rochelle product. Long Island product. He's from Stony Brook. Kohler went to the University of Stony Brook. Town gown.
Oh, I get it. I get the connection. Hit and run count, but probably not. Not in today's game.
Terry said tonight maybe Mets would play some more hit and run now that some of their power bats are gone. Not this time though. And Nimmo takes a strike, 2-2. I mean, you think about the Mets tied for the National League lead in home runs, but they've had 8 players this year hit 10 or more home runs, and 4 of them are no longer with the team. Bruce, Granderson, Duda, and Walker. 2-2 coming, and that's low and in 3-2. In fact, here's another remarkable observation. The Mets now have only 2 players, 2, who have been on the active 25-man roster all season. From opening day till today. Never been on the disabled list, never been in the minors, been on the active 25-man roster every day. 2 players. Runner goes, and Nimmo lines it into right, a base hit. Reynolds will go first to third. And the Mets have the table set, first and third and nobody out. So Reynolds running on the 3-2 pitch. Nimmo sends him to third.
Nice hitting. You always get that smile from Nimmo. Little cutter in, just muscles it out to right field. The Mets are in business. Nice hitting.
That's going to runner to third base for the first time tonight. In fact, they hadn't had a runner to second base before this inning. Action is going to start in the Miami bullpen, and they're going to kill some time as the pitching coach Juan Davis will come out. So the only 2 Met players who've made it coast to coast from opening day till August 19th.
Well, 2 of them are gone yesterday.
So
there was 4.
Right. Granderson was and Rivera was, but they're gone, so that leaves 2. Both pitchers.
Well, one's a starter.
Jacob deGrom, Jerry Blevins.
Correct.
That's it.
Yep.
On the 25-man roster. The only 2 who've made it from opening day until today. That's unbelievable.
It is. It is.
Now, you know, part of that is trading away half a dozen veterans, but it also gives you an idea how much turnover this team had even before that. The disabled list and guys going to the minors. Hansel Robles gets up in the Mets bullpen.
Be nice to get Montero a couple runs here. Maybe get him a win.
We'll need to get at least 2 runs in this inning for that to happen. Cabrera has one of the Mets' 3 hits tonight. He's singled back in the first. Took a call, 3rd strike in the 4th. Reynolds the tying run at third. Nimmo at first with nobody out. And that was a very good stall by the Marlins. They got Drew Steckenrider about a dozen tosses in the bullpen without Worley throwing a pitch from the mound. Marlins bullpen was great last night. Cabrera fouls it off. And Steckenrider might have been the most impressive of the 4 guys they ran out there out of the bullpen last night. Cespedes on deck, Conforto behind him as the Mets look to cash in here in the 6th. jam and fouls off the cutter. 0-2. Orioles kept his pitch count down. He's only walked 2 and only struck out 2. He was a big strikeout pitcher earlier in his career, but he's not that guy anymore. Relies on soft contact. He's got 1 double play tonight. He could use another. Working from behind in the count. And he gets one in the air to right field. Tagging at third is Reynolds. Stanton coming over. Makes the catch. Reynolds will come home. The throw goes to second. Mets have tied the game. Sacrifice fly by his dribble Cabrera to tie the game at 1. .35th run batted in for his dribble. Now it's Cespedes, who has grounded into a double play and lined out to left. 0 for 2.
What a blast would be good. Oh, that's going to be it.
Don Mattingly is going to make a pitching change. He's going to bring the hard-throwing right-hander Drew Steckenrider into the game to replace Worley. Mets have tied the game in the 6th. Worley leaves after 5 1/3. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. More science, less fear. We'll be right back. Drew Steckenrider, who struck out the side in his appearance last night, comes in to face Cespedes.
His numbers are for real. Only 19 innings, but boy, he looked really good last night. Those 3 strikeouts. Throws hard.
This is low with the fastball to Cespedes, who's 0 for 2.
Good hard slider to go with it, but primarily this guy is going to come right after you with number 1.
Conforto on deck. Cespedes swings through the fastball, and it's 1-1.
Right under it, just above the belt.
26-year-old Drew Steckenrider, Atlanta area kid who went to the University of Tennessee. Getting his first taste of big league action. 22nd appearance. Mets saw him for the first time last night and were impressed. He struck out Nimmo, Smith, and Lagares last night. Slider pulled toward the hole, base hit. Nimmo is a second. He'll stop there. Cespedes just got it by the dive of Dietrich on the slider by Steckenrider, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Cespedes stays in nicely. He's not swinging poorly. He's just not in rhythm. But there, he gets it done.
So the go-ahead run is in scoring position with 1 out. And Michael Conforto, the batter. Conforto had a rough time against Worley, a call third strike and a comebacker. Just 2 for his last 18. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Game was scoreless until this 6th inning. Marlins played at a run on Ozuna's hit in the top of the inning. Mets have evened it here in the bottom on Cabrera's sacrifice fly. Now Conforto swings and misses at the fastball, and it's 0-2.
Michael is going through a little funk here. Starting to get under that ball a little bit. I hope he's not going to that school that says hit fly balls every 4 at bats.
26 home runs this year. It can be intoxicating.
See, whenever you're fouling pitches back, those are good cuts. I always used to say, okay, I'm under it. I've got to focus. This is over a series of at bats, maybe in 1 game or over 3 games. And I got to go, okay, I've been under. I got to work in BP on hitting that top half of that ball, focusing on that top half of the ball, and hitting nothing but line drives in BP.
Conforto gets a piece of it. That caught Real Muto on the way back. Does anybody try to hit the top half of the ball anymore? Except maybe a D. Gordon or somebody like that. Isn't everybody trying to lift now, hit the bottom half of the ball and get backspin?
I think it's always been a lot of hitters have always. I'm going to talk with Tim McCarver when he was here with the Cardinals. He said that a lot of hitters. And he said he talked to Gibson about it. Gibson knew who the guys were that can get on top of the high ball and who couldn't. Who dropped their back shoulder and who didn't, which shows you the intelligence of Bob Gibson. So those are nice cuts, and you're allowing the pitcher to stay 0-2 and allowing him to make a nasty pitch. If you get on top of that ball, you're out of the box. It's over. Your bat's over. You hit it hard somewhere.
They don't have the big shift on against Conforto. This at bat with the hard thrower on the mound. They have the full shift on with Worley out there throwing 88 to 90, but with Steckenrider out there throwing 96, 97. They keep the shortstop on the left side of the bag.
Pretty much straight up in the outfield.
7th pitch of the at bat coming from Steckenrider to Conforto. And he bounces the slider, and that'll move the runners up. So a wild pitch, and now the Mets have 2 in scoring position.
Well, I think this is a backhand by Real Muto behind the plate. Does not do the proper blockage. And gosh, in a game like this at 1-1, that's a crucial wild pitch.
So how the Marlins going to play this 2nd and 3rd 1-out tie game? They're going to bring the infield in.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe because it's 1-2 on Conforto.
Yes.
Another slider, and that missed. This is turning into a terrific at bat for Michael. Fouled off some tough fastballs. He's taken the 2 sliders down in the dirt. 8 pitches deep and still going. Nimmo the go-ahead run at 3rd. Cespedes at 2nd with 1 out. 9th pitch of the at bat, and it's hit up the middle under the glove of Rojas into center field, and 2 runs will score. Nimmo and Cespedes are in, and the Mets go in front 3-1.
Well, let's see how they're going to score that.
It's going to be an error on Rojas. A hard hit ball. 1 run might have scored anyway, and they will give Conforto 1 RBI. But it's a ball that Rojas should have had.
Agreed.
And the second run scores as a consequence, and he doesn't get an out.
Tried to come inside and did not. See how Conforto got on top of that ball, and he hit it hard. Boy, if he makes that play, it's going to be a close play at the plate.
I wonder whether thinking about whether he wanted to come home or go to first might have caused him to miss that ball. You know what I mean?
I understand completely. If you got Echeverria out there, I think he puts that in his back pocket.
Maybe Riddle too. Do you think he had a play at the plate on Nimmo?
I'm not
think he should have gone to first had he fielded it?
I did not view the field on that play, Gary. I must admit I was watching the monitor, so we'd have to get our crack.
I just thought where he had to move over to get it near the second base bag.
He'd have to spin-a-rama.
Exactly. It would have been a really hard throw to the plate to get a pretty fast guy in Nimmo. Flores connects deep left field down the line. That ball is out of here. Wilmer Flores 2-run homer. And the Mets have put up a 5 spot in the bottom of the 6th inning, and they lead 5-1. Number 15 for Wilmer.
Wow, this is sudden.
Steckenrider untouchable last night, but the Mets have connected against him tonight.
Right down the pipe fastball, and Wilmer says, I'll take this one. 15 home runs for Wilmer.
And now 41 runs driven in. Dominic Smith takes a slider for a strike. So Steckenrider greeted by the Cespedes hit. A wild pitch, then the error on Rojas. And Flores follows with a 2-run homer. And now Rafael Montero firmly entrenched as the pitcher of record on the long side.
Very nice. Gets called getting picked up by your teammates.
First 2 runs of the inning charged to Worley, who's now on the hook. He left this game with a 1-0 lead. But 2 runs charged to Worley, and now in danger of taking a loss. Junichi Tazawa, next man up in the Miami bullpen. And Dom Smith hits one sharply under the glove of Rojas, who makes his 2nd error of the inning.
Wow. Miguel, whatever you had for lunch today, get something different. And just misplayed this. He backs up. Look at his glove. You never work up to down. You go down, up. That is just a botch right there.
The normally sure-handed Rojas, who had committed only 5 errors all season, charged with his 2nd error in the space of 3 batters.
Yeah.
And Juan Nieves wearing out a path to the mound this inning. Now to try and console Steckenrider, who's faced 4 batters, given up 2 hits, and had 2 errors made behind him.
Boy, the floodgates open.
5 runs are already in. Still only 1 out. And Ahmed Rosario will be the 8th man up in the inning. Rosario had a base hit to center field his last time up.
So both runs are earned, charged to Worley, correct? Because they gave the RBI in the air.
Yes. Check swing foul, and it's 0-2 to Rosario. By the way, we mentioned Montero now in line for the win. Rafael Montero has never won at Citi Field. He is 0-7 in 13 career games. 13 games here this year. It was a swing and a miss by Rosario, and he's down on strikes for the 2nd out.
Fastball up. That's where they get him.
Here's Plawecki, 9th man up in the inning. He takes a slider for a strike. Plawecki goes after the high fastball, and it's 0-2. Kevin's been up twice, hit the ball on the ground both times. Matt Reynolds started this inning with a pinch hit walk on a questionable ball 4 call, and he is now on deck. Nimmo followed with a hit and run single. Cabrera drove in a run with a sac fly. Worley left. Steckenrider came in. Cespedes single. A wild pitch moved the runners up, and then the error by Rojas brought in the go-ahead runs. Flores connected to drive in 2 more. Up and into Plawecki, 1-2. Correction on Montero. He did get his first big league win at Citi Field, but it would be his first win at home this year. I think he beat Colorado back in his rookie season to get his first big league win. He didn't get his second until this year, and that came on the road. In any event, he's on the plus side tonight. Smith at first with 2 down. And Plawecki fouls back. Hmm. 41 pitches thrown by the Marlins in this inning. 14 by Worley, 27 more by Steckenrider.
Well, he's been victimized by 2 errors by the shortstop Rojas.
1-2 coming. And the breaking ball hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Ozuna looking up, and it's out of here. Kevin Plawecki with his first home run of the season. A 2-run shot for Plawecki, a 7-run inning for the Mets. Well, Plawecki had given up a home run, but he had not hit a home run in the majors this year. Remember, he pitched in Washington, and Anthony Rendon took him deep. But now Plawecki has the bomb of his own.
Hanging slider on a tee. Still got to hit it, and you got to take advantage of it. Big inning for the Mets. They batted around.
First home run in the big leagues for Plawecki since May of last year. 7-run inning for New York. It's not over yet. Another pitching change for Miami. Tazawa coming in, called to the bullpen, brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. More science, less fear. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by NYU Langone Hart. Mets have scored 7 times in the 6th inning, and they batted around. Junichi Tazawa comes in to try and get the final out of the inning. Matt Reynolds, who led off the inning as a pinch hitter, is up for the 2nd time.
Tazawa, not a hard thrower, but he has been a workhorse out of the bullpen over his career. Had a little ribcage inflammation that put him on the DL this year.
Longtime mainstay of the Red Sox bullpen. First year in the National League. Reynolds fouls it off. This is a zombie at bat for Reynolds. When you pinch hit and then you come up for the 2nd time in an inning, it is not a pinch hit at bat.
That's right.
Because he's already in the game.
Well,
this inning for himself.
This inning started out innocently on a walk to this man. 7 runs later.
The splitter from Tazawa, chop foul. That's tying their season high with a 7-run inning. They had been blanked for the first 5 by Vance Worley. They managed just 2 singles in those first 5 innings. But the leadoff walk by Reynolds opened the door. And home runs by Flores and Plawecki have enabled them to crash through after a couple of errors. 1-2 to Reynolds. Brandon Nimmo would be next. Well, that's going to feel good for Plawecki. First game back in the majors after 3 months away.
2 guys here are going to feel good, and if it ends up with a Met win, it's going to be Montero and Plawecki.
A happy battery. 1-2. And Reynolds pulls it down to third. Dietrich can't handle it cleanly. And Reynolds is aboard, and the inning continues. Some shoddy defense on the left side of that Marlins infield.
Well, at least he gets down on one knee on this one. Dietrich keeps the ball in front, but boy, oh boy.
Wait to see how they score that.
That's got to be an error. It's got to be.
And it will be the 3rd error of the inning. Remember that the Marlins started out the year with Echeverria and Prado on the left side. Then they had JT Riddle and Prado, and Echeverria is now with Tampa Bay. Riddle's out for the year with a torn labrum. Prado's out with a knee injury. Here's Nimmo, the 11th man up in the inning, and he takes ball 1. Nimmo had a base hit on a 3-2 pitch that put runners at 1st and 3rd to set the table in this inning. Reynolds at 1st with 2 down. Nimmo 1 for 3 tonight. Takes low and in, 2-0. Dribble Cabrera, who drove in the 1st run of the inning with a sac fly, is now on deck. And Nimmo fouls one away. So Worley went 5 1/3, charged with 2 runs, both earned, 3 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Steckenrider went 1/3 of an inning. 3 hits, 5 runs, 2 earned, no walks, a strikeout, a wild pitch, and 2 home runs. And now Tazawa comes in, and an error is made behind him on the first play. 3 errors in the inning, 2 on Rojas, 1 on Dietrich. Nimmo carves one foul, 2-2.
Where did you get that term from, Gary, when you say carbs? What is that? Why have you come up with that term?
It's kind of like when you take a carving knife and cut a slice out of a turkey.
Ah, okay. Very nice. I can picture that. That must be a radio word.
Just trying to be evocative, Keith.
Well, Tazawa is just coming after him with fastballs.
3 errors in a game ties the season high for the Marlins. They had 3 errors in the game back in May against the Mets. This time 3 errors in 1 inning. snapping turtle with that glove. Yellow drives one to center, but right at Yelich, and the inning comes to a close. 11 Mets came to bat, 7 of them scored. Flores with a 2-run homer. 2 batters later, Kevin Pilecki, 2-run homer, 7-run inning, 7-1 New York. Local Ford dealers, Jerry's Familia, working his way back from a blood clot. Second rehab appearance tonight with St. Lucie, and like the first one, he threw a scoreless inning. Took him 9 pitches the first time, 25 pitches this time, and 25 pitches. Normally you'd say that's not great, but the Mets are trying to work up his pitch count so that if he does come up to the big leagues as a tough inning, he's capable. So he'll need a few more, but he's getting close.
Well, they're not going to rush him. There's no reason to take any chances.
Hansel Robles, first man out of the Mets bullpen tonight, behind Rafael Montero, who was really good for the second straight start. Derek Dietrich, first man up against Robles in the 7th. Mets with a 7-1 lead. Dietrich's been aboard twice with a walk and a single. The last 2 nights, the Mets bullpen has been spot on. 9 1/3 scoreless innings in the last 2 games. Robles was a part of that 2 nights ago against the Yankees. He threw 2 scoreless innings, allowed 1 hit, and struck out 2. The enigmatic right-hander deals the 2-0 to Dietrich, and there's a strike, 2-1. I mean, as the Mets try and build their bullpen for next year, the givens that they'll have going into next year will be Familia, Ramos, and presumably Blevins. All those other spots are up for grabs, and this is the guy of all those competitors for those other spots who has the best stuff.
Yep, but he took a serious step back.
And he doesn't help himself there with a leadoff walk.
That appearance he had in Denver was an eye-opener. A very revealing appearance.
Oh, and he had several right before he got sent down.
But that one was glaring, and don't think that Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson didn't take note of that appearance. And when he threw the ball back into the backstop and walked in the winning run, it's something you don't want to see. That's a red flag.
So do you think that will be part of the consideration when the Mets think about their bullpen going forward to next year?
Or you bring Robles, has got a rubber arm. He's perfect for long relief in the middle of a ball game. To me, this guy can throw you middle relief, give you three innings, go through once through the order. You're right about his stuff.
0-2 to Moore, and that just missed. Well, the Mets, in trading away many of their veterans, brought back what they hope to be young power arms that they hope can help them down the road in the bullpen. And how quickly down the road, that remains to be seen. Maybe as early as this September, maybe next year. But it's going to be a big area of concern going into next season to make sure that the Mets are more fortified in their pen than they were this year, because their bullpen cost them a lot of games early in the season. 2-2 coming. Grounded to short. Circling in Rosario. Out at second. Turned by Cabrera. In time. The 5th double play of the night. Turned by the Mets infield. And that ties a club record. 3rd time that Moore is grounded into a double play.
Comes in and gets the ball. Rosario throws a nice feed. Pitcher's best friend. Nice stretch by Mr. Smith.
Well, holy Joe Torre. Tyler Moore has already grounded into 3 double plays. He might have a chance to tie Joe's record. Mets have turned 5 to equal their club record, and they've still got 2 more innings to play with. Although Rojas takes a strike. Rojas, who committed the 2 errors that helped the Mets to their 7-run inning, hoping for a little redemption. He's gone 0 for 2 tonight. Ichiro Suzuki is out on deck to pinch hit if Rojas keeps the inning going. And he gets jammed and flies one to shallow right, and in comes Conforto to get it, and that retires the side. Double play bonanza for the Mets tonight. They lead 7-1. Schedule. Go to pix11.com/team travel for great deals on Mets away games from cheapoair.com. Final game of the series tomorrow on SNY at 1 o'clock. Then the Diamondbacks are in for 4 starting on Monday. The Mets then go to Washington, Cincinnati, and Houston on their next road trip. That'll take us into the month of September. Brian Ellington will pitch the bottom of the 7th for Miami.
He's had a tough year. This is the 3rd stint here. He's been sent down twice. Been back up since late July, mid-July, excuse me.
Asdrubal Cabrera leads off in the bottom of the 7th, and foul tips the fastball at 100 miles an hour. Cabrera drove in the first of the 7 runs the Mets scored in the 6th with the sacrifice fly. He's 1 for 2 on the night. Ellington was really good for the Marlins last year, but has really struggled at the big league level this year. despite throwing 100 miles an hour.
Well, they get hitters, and, they take their measure, and you just can't. You don't locate, and you walk people.
19 walks in 23 innings. That's hard to sustain.
Yes. It also means too when you don't walk someone, you're behind the count here. A lot.
Pops it up and foul it round. Dietrich hoping for a play, but that's well beyond his reach and on the dugout roof. 1-2. Well, Vance Worley, the starter for Miami, pitched well tonight. He went 5 1/3, allowed 2 runs, 3 hits. But Drew Steckenrider, who was overwhelming last night, was not tonight and didn't get helped out by his defense. Gave up a couple of home runs, 5 runs, 2 earned in a third of an inning. Junichi Tozawa finished off the 6th, and now Ellington working the 7th.
Well, this has always been the Marlins' bugaboo, is their pitching. They've never been able to put together a complete pitching staff. They've had good rotations, not too often. They mainly of late have had a good bullpen and lacking in the starting department. They just can't put the two pieces together.
They've been hurt by injuries to their starters this year, but also, I mean, let's be realistic. If they still had Jose Fernandez, it would have made for an entirely different staff this year than what they brought into this season.
I'm sure it would have made up the 7 games they're back in the wild card.
I mean, it was a great personal tragedy, but it set them back significantly. Round to the right side. Moore makes the play to Ellington, 1 out.
Well, Gary, he was certainly a ace, and bar injury, he was on his way to a wonderful career.
Almost unbeatable in his home ballpark, 29-2, but bad decisions leading to horrible tragedy, and the Marlins will always be the less for it.
Ozuna was supposed to decline to go on that
Apparently
boat.
several of his teammates did.
Boy, oh boy, huh?
And the toxicology reports showed that he was impaired and behind the wheel, and took 2 other people with him.
Yes,
which
he did.
made it an even more difficult thing for the Marlins and his family to cope with. Not to mention the other families. Cespedes drills one down the line and foul. The hardest hit ball Cespedes has stroked in a while. Had a base hit his last time up and scored a run in that big 6th inning. Talking about Fernandez, it's become a source of some controversy in Miami because he was such a beloved figure, and the tragedy was so striking last year, and he was especially beloved by the current owner, soon to be ex-owner Jeffrey Loria, and Loria made plans for a statue to honor Jose Fernandez. And now with the full information about the nature of the tragedy, there are a lot of people who feel as though he shouldn't be honored in that fashion.
I would be in that camp.
So it makes it even more complicated. Of course, now you have new ownership coming in with Derek Jeter and his group. So we'll see how they handle the situation. Michael Conforto waits on deck. Cespedes fouls away the fastball from Ellington, 3-2.
So Seattle beat Tampa. We were scoreboard watching here.
Spin the roulette dial. Who gets the spot tonight?
Yep.
Three-two coming. Pop foul, and that'll come back out of play. Going into the day, the Twins and Angels were in a virtual tie for the second wild card spot in the American League, with Kansas City and Seattle a half game back, Texas 1.5 back, Baltimore 2 games back, Tampa Bay and Toronto 3 games back. I mean, just crazy.
Yes.
Three-two coming, and that's high ball 4. Good at bat for Cespedes, and he's on base for the second time. At Citi Field Saturday, September 9th. The Mets take on the Reds at 7:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fleece blanket, courtesy of the Northwest Company. It's a perfect September giveaway, don't you think? The fleece blanket, get you ready for the cooler days. Well, there's the wild card in the American League up to the minute. With Seattle's win, they move into a virtual 3-way tie.
Angels are winning, but they were winning last night late too.
That was before Machado got him. What a night. I mean, to hit 3 home runs in a game is a big deal.
Yep.
To hit 3 home runs capped by a walk-off grand slam, that's just phenomenal. Conforto hit the first of the 2 ground balls that Miguel Rojas botched in the 6th inning. It would have brought home the go-ahead run anyway, according to the official scorer, but it's got 2 runs out of it as the result of the error. Conforto got 1 RBI, giving him 65 for the year. And Ellington falls behind him 2-0.
Well, you're seeing why Ellington has had his problems here. He is throwing a lot of pitches.
Behind 2-0. Conforto foul tips it 99 miles an hour up. Wilmer Flores, who homered his last time up, waiting on deck. Cespedes at first and 1 out.
Jeez.
3-1.
It looks like Cleveland has kind of taken control of the Central. Got a 6-game lead. They're winning tonight.
That Bruce guy's been pretty good.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, he really has.
I'm happy for him.
2 home runs yesterday.
Still a long way to go.
Ground ball up the middle, a base hit for Conforto. Cespedes will go first to third. So Conforto has his first hit of this series. And the Mets looking for more. First and third and 1 out.
Ball down in the strike zone. Down the middle.
So the table's set for Wilmer Flores. Wilmer cracked a 2-run homer his last time up, his 15th of the year.
Talking earlier about the closed and open stance early in the game in reference to Stanton. Look at Wilmer. Wilmer is standing neither closed or open, but his slight, just ever so slight, but his face is both eyes facing the pitcher.
Double play ball. Gordon with the backhand flip. Rojas makes the turn. 4-6-3 double play ends the inning. Marlins turn their second double play of the night. Mets have turned 5 and then lead 7-1. win-killing kind of a night for the New York Mets. Mets have turned 5 double plays, all of them on the infield, all of them with Asdrubal Cabrera in the middle. They turned him in 4 straight innings for Rafael Montero from the 2nd through the 5th inning. And then for good measure, they turned one for Hansel Robles in the 7th inning. Tyler Moore has hit into 3 of those double plays, which is tied a Marlins club record. So the Mets, with many of the pitcher's best friend, 5 double plays in the first 7 innings of this game. And now with Hansel Robles pitching his 2nd inning, Ichiro Suzuki will pinch hit. Ichiro already has 20 pinch hits this year. He is hoping to approach John Vanderwall's major league record of 28 pinch hits in a season. Quick pitch by Robles, and it's taken low. The other record that Ichiro is almost certain to break with good health, he's got 72 pinch hit at bats already this year. As he pops this one up, and Rosario calls it and catches it. That's 73 pinch hit at bats now for Ichiro. The record is 82, held by Lenny Harris, which he's almost certain to break. So Ichiro doing something a little different late in his career. And he said, he was quoted today in the Miami Herald saying, look, it's not something I like doing. It's not what you hope for, but it's a new skill that I'm trying to do the best with that I can. Guy who's a future Hall of Famer, doing damage in a different way.
Well, if you love the game and want to continue to play it, look at Rusty.
Rusty Staub became one of the greatest pinch hitters ever at the end of his career.
He was incredible off the bench, and really was unfortunate that in '86 they cut the roster down to 24, so Rusty was odd man out, and Rusty would have made that team on the 25-man roster, and he would have maybe gone to the World Series. Wouldn't that have been nice?
Gordon hits one on the backhand of Cabrera. The quick throw to get Gordon from the 2nd out. So Robles, after giving up a walk to the first man that faced him, has gotten everybody else out.
Nice backhand. Cabrera very comfortable at 2nd base.
So no double play this inning for the Mets. They'll have to turn one in the 9th if they want to break the club record. Here's Stanton, who's walked twice and grounded into a double play. The Mets have handled him pretty much the way they would have hoped in this series. They've walked him 4 times, but he hasn't had a hit yet.
It's a way to just keep him loose. You don't want to choke the bat. He shows a much better eye, doesn't he? We've seen him just flail over the years at pitches out of the strike zone, away or in the dirt. Not anymore.
Change up from Robles, 2-1.
Well,
you want to play deep.
You got to be prepared.
Coach Freddie Gonzalez is playing.
Well, Freddie can't move like like Wilmer can.
I mean, he's not exactly on the coaching lines.
Freddie's a little hefty over there. The umpire's got to be alert too, and the ball boy right here.
And another walk for Stanton, his 5th in 2 games in this series. See, now Freddie can move into a more reasonable position in that coaching box. All Sewald up in the Mets bullpen. Robles trying to get through a 2nd inning in relief. Facing Christian Yelich, has gone 0 for 3. Lined out to left and struck out twice. longest out Rafael Montero got tonight was against Yelich in the 6th inning. It was a scoreless game, and the Marlins had 2 men on, and Robles was able to strike Yelich out. That's hit hard, and Smith with a diving snag to end the inning. Dominic Smith with the lunge to his left, denying Yelich.
Got good hands.
The bases on that last line drive.
Look to the right of your screen. Look out. We were all worried about Stanton when he was up. I guess we were misplaced in our worry. Worry about him on the bases.
He's okay. Changes for the Marlins. Tomas Talis comes in to catch. JT Realmuto will get an inning off, and Javi Guerra will come on to pitch in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, only 4 2/3. This is his 4th game here. We notice him warming up. He is right over the top.
Like a latter-day Jim Bouton. In-game box score brought to you by Infinity and Power the Drive. Mets scored all 7 of their runs in the 6th inning. 2-run homers by Flores and Plawecki. Smith is 0 for 2 in a walk. He reached on one of the 2 errors by Miguel Rojas in that big 6th inning. Javi Guerra making just his 4th appearance of the season for the Marlins. And Smith hits one in the air to deep right center. Back goes Stanton to the track at the wall. It's out of here. Dominic Smith's 2nd big league home run, his 1st at Citi Field. Eight to 1 New York.
First home run in front of the home folks. High fastball. This was a towering drive. Oh, he got it all right.
These days, you don't see many pitches that far up in the zone leave the ballpark. But Smith did. 2 to Rosario, who's 1 for 3 tonight.
Well, there's the contact. He squared it up. Uppercut swing, I guess, and he got it.
Strikes out Rosario on 3 pitches for the first out.
There's the side swing and a little bit. That's a home run swing. He got it.
Dominic Smith, who did a long sit down with Steve Serby that will appear in tomorrow's New York Post. Fascinating interview. Steve does great interviews, does fabulous research, and then brings so much out of his interview subjects.
Steve's always a little quirky.
He got Dom to open up quite a bit about his parents and his background and how far he's had to travel to get to this point. It's really well worth a read. Milwaukee homered his last time up and fouls it away 0-2. Downtown Scores brought to you by Tri Honda. Curtis Granderson made his Dodger debut. He took an offer, but the Dodgers win. They win every day. Twins lead the Diamondbacks 5-0 in the 7th. Minnesota trying to keep pace with Cleveland. Arizona a game behind Colorado for the top wild card spot in the National League. Rockies are down as well, 3-1 to the Brewers in the 5th. Pirates beat the Cardinals tonight, snapping a 6-game losing streak for Pittsburgh. Lucky fouls went off. Milwaukee's home run was his first of the season, and he crushed it deep into the seats in left field. Just back from minor leagues after a 3-month absence. In 328 in 64 AAA games with 9 home runs, and gets his return to the big leagues off with a bang. He lines this one to center, but right at Yelich, and that's the second out. Takes us to the play of the game, brought to you by Spectrum. Get the Spectrum triple play today.
Hanging slider and crushed it. Capped off that 7-run 6th.
Now Juan Lagares will pinch hit. Lagares started last night in center field, went 1 for 4. Be interesting to see how Terry utilizes Lagares and Nimmo now with Granderson gone. Cespedes and Conforto are going to play most days. It's not going to be a strict platoon. I mean, Lagares will undoubtedly play tomorrow. The Mets will face a lefty, Adam Conley, but he should get more at bats than that. But the Mets certainly want to look at both these guys quite a bit over the last 6 weeks to figure out whether they are the answer as far as that third outfield spot for next year, some combination, or whether they need to go out and get somebody. Lagares pops it up. Dietrich into foul ground. And one hands it to retire the side. But Dominic Smith puts on the icing for the Mets tonight. 3rd home run of the game for the Mets. 1st home run at Citi Field for Dominic Smith. And the Mets take an 8-1 lead into the 9th. Brought to you by Honda. Makes summer sweeter with the great deals at the Honda Summerbration sales event. Line score brought to you by the all-new Chrysler Pacifica. That's with that bust-out 6th inning. Matched their season high for runs in an inning. 3 home runs tonight for New York. 8-1 lead as we go to the 9th. Juan Lagares stays into play center field for the 9th inning. And Chasen Bradford, who has really pitched well since he's gotten his opportunities, will come on to pitch.
Well, you see in his 13 games, he has done remarkably well. Doesn't walk people.
He is in the current stretch of 7 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings.
He comes after people. Doesn't waste time.
Marcell Ozuna's 3 for 3 tonight. Drove in the only Miami run in the 6th inning. This was a scoreless game through 5. Ozuna's 2-out RBI hit against Rafael Montero in the 6th played at the game's first run. Montero then struck out Real Muto to limit the damage to just 1. And then the Mets scored their 7 in the bottom of the 6th to give Montero a chance to be a winning pitcher. Rafael Montero this year at Citi Field coming into the night was 0-7. The first Met pitcher to lose 7 or more consecutive decisions in home games since 1993. In that ugly year of '93 when the Mets lost 103 games, Anthony Young had a 9-game home losing streak and Pete Schurik had an 8-game home losing streak. Montero looks as though his 7-game home losing streak will end tonight. 3-0 to Ozuna. And there's a strike. Tomas Telis is on deck. And then Derek Dietrich for the Marlins. Mets bullpen has now gone 11 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings over the last 3 games. 2 scoreless from Hansel Robles tonight. That's outside, ball 4 to Ozuna, so he's on base for the 4th straight time. In-game box score for the Marlins brought to you by Infinity Power the Drive. Ozuna 3 for 3, but not a whole lot else for Miami tonight. They had just 5 hits last night and just 6 hits tonight. Last night it was enough. Not so tonight. So here is Telis, who took over behind the plate in the last inning. He started at first base last night and went 1 for 4. Switch hitter batting left takes low and away, and Milwaukee will run it out to Bradford, who's generally a strike thrower, but is struggling with the strike zone right now.
Just bring it on.
Day game tomorrow. Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Mets, looking for his 14th win. And you know Jake loves pitching in the daytime. His numbers bear that out. Slowly hit. Bradford will go to second. Rosario has no relay. And the Mets do not turn their 6th double play of the night. However, they do get the first out of the inning.
Are they going to challenge? Yet.
Second base umpire Chad Fairchild said Rosario was on the bag with the ball, and take a look. And he was.
Yeah.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Derek Dietrich, who's been on base 3 straight times, 2 walks and a single. Mets have tied a club record with 5 double plays. They get 1 more shot here. And Dietrich hits one off the glove of Bradford, and Cabrera will settle for the out at first. Nicely done by Cabrera. If that ball doesn't hit Bradford's mitt, it might well have been a double play.
I don't know if Cabrera gets to it. And I think the only way for this to be a double play is that Bradford picks it. I think Cabrera was too much to the right.
We'll see.
Gets a glove on it.
Well, if he fills it cleanly, then certainly they would have turned 2.
They certainly would have. No question.
But it's a 1-4-3 put out, and now the Marlins are down to their final out of the night, and the Mets will settle for tying the club record for double plays in a single 9-inning game. And Tyler Moore will settle for tying a Marlins club record by grounding into 3 double plays in 1 game. 1 shy of Joe Torre's major league record that he set as a Met, which he blamed on Felix Millan because Felix went 4 for 4 in front of him.
Felix couldn't play in today's game.
Joe said Felix doesn't go 4 for 4. I don't ground into 4 double plays.
Was being facetious there.
Well, Joe's got a good sense of humor.
Well, I mean, talk about Mian. Felix was quite a number 2 hitter.
He was. He was a terrific player.
He was a setup man, supreme. Great back control.
For a long time, Felix had the Mets club record for hits in a season. He had 191 hits. And it wasn't until Lance Johnson came along and had his tremendous 1996 season that he broke that mark. 3-0 to Moore. And that's outside, ball 4. So 2 walks in the inning for Bradford, and the evening continues with Miguel Rojas coming up. That's 7 walks by Met pitchers tonight, about the only downside for the Mets in this game. But Rafael Montero, a big shining light tonight. Second straight start, he's pitched well, and that's going to make Terry Collins feel a lot better. 6 innings, 1 run, 6 hits for Montero. In line for his second win of the year. Here's Rojas, 0 for 3 at the plate, 2 errors in the field. Rough night for the Marlins shortstop. And he lines one right to Cabrera, and the ball game is over. Rafael Montero gets his first Citi Field win of the season. Dominic Smith hits his first home run at Citi Field. The Mets go deep 3 times, score 7 runs in the 6th inning, and they blast the Marlins 8-1 to even up the series at a game apiece.
Well, very big win for Rafael Montero. 2 back-to-back starts now where he's thrown outstanding, and really noticeable that he's pitched more aggressively. Plawecki hits his first home run of the year, his first start since getting called up today. And he's all smiles, and Mr. Flores with a 2-run shot, his 15th.
Game summary brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine for Plawecki. His first big league home run since May of last year. One of 3 Met home runs on the night, and Montero pitched very well to get his second victory of the season and just the 3rd of his major league career. Mets win at 8-1 to even up the series and snap a 5-game losing streak. More from Flushing coming right up.